everybody. Welcome back to another amazing episode at the Radio Rocketman. We have a jam-packed show full of news, full of stuff to make fun of. Joining me to break everything down with me is the one, the only George.
Hello, Luigi. How are you? How are you this fine week?
Doing really well. The news cycle is turning. We have so much to discuss. I'm looking forward to getting into all of it with you, George. Let's start light, as we do.
As we do, have you heard of this guy, Luigi? He's called the bottom G. Because, you've heard about what happened. The top G has been rearrested in Romania. And I thought I'd give the spotlight to someone I found out very recently. The great bottom G, Luigi. Tell me what you think.
He's the alter ego of the top G, the non-masculine G.
I think this is very masculine, Luigi.
Okay. If you get them in a room together, the top G with the bottom G,
they probably become a normal G.
It cancels out.
He becomes an accountant afterwards.
I was gonna say the universe explodes, but like matter and antimatter. But sure.
So let's get to the more serious stuff then.
Yeah.
Let's do some actual news, Luigi. Let's do some actual news. Breaking off the pressers, Luigi. The judge, we've talked about the Georgia case, which is, Luigi, the state case against insurrection with Donald Trump. I think they're using RICO as well in it. And just to clarify, Luigi, Donald Trump cannot pardon himself for state crimes, even if he becomes the president.
Can a governor pardon him, or a district attorney? Can he drop the charges if the case is ongoing?
As far as I understand it, it's up to Georgia. Trump can't influence it, even if he becomes president. So it was a major blow what happened with, you remember, with
the lawyers,
extracurricular activities that they were involved in.
Yeah, the lawyers having a romantic relationship.
Yes, the district attorney with the special prosecutor that she appointed to prosecute Trump, and we've just got the decision by the judge.
Extremely professional. For everyone listening out there, like, ideally don't bang your co-part in a case you're about to try.
Dude, bang him, but not about this. This is too important because this is about prosecuting Trump for fucking insurrection. This was too important to risk it. And I think I've got the code, obviously. Further allowed the regular. He castigated her, but he did not rule that there was a conflict of interest. There was an appearance of impropriety, but the allegations and evidence were legally insufficient to support the finding of an actual conflict of interest. He said it was shit, but I'm not gonna bar her from the case. Basically,
so the case continues.
The case continues. Yes.
Okay. So the timeline doesn't change. We'll probably have a ruling on this before the election.
I don't know. I'm not certain. Possibly, very likely, but the timeline has not changed so far. From the change that has already happened because of what was happening with this. It's been because they've delayed the trial to debate whether to disbar Fannie Willis from the case. You know what I mean? So that delayed the case unavoidably.
This is so fucking complicated. Like following all of Trump's legal cases during the election year is making this infinitely more complicated.
You could do a whole podcast just on his legal cases. Easily. There's so many. And all developing all the time as well. We had
the law part 8,469.
Should we move on? Because this is very important and very important case. We want it to happen. Everybody wants it to happen, and it's the same degree of importance easily as the other one with Jack Smith, because he can't pardon himself from this one.
Yeah, but the only thing I don't understand is, okay, first of all, I understand district attorneys in the US are elected, so you can't just sort of
it's gonna be a shit show if I'm getting what you're getting at, Luigi. It's gonna be a shit show to indict a sitting president or state judges. Yes, it is unprecedented territory as far as I know.
as we
I
said in
mean,
the
I
previous
don't
episode.
know, dude. Maybe they indicted the fourth president of the United States or something. Well, it
It's
hasn't
it's been
happened.
it's been a hot second, yeah.
It's been a hot
In a
second.
couple of centuries, yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna be unprecedented, yeah. Even
yeah. Well,
even if the Georgia case indicts him for it.
the rest testing the
Yes,
limits of the American legal system. Let's move
definitely.
forward.
So you wanted to do Russia, Luigi. You want to say a few words about Russia? They have elections with a billion quotation marks, don't they? In
Yeah,
Sunday,
yeah.
Sunday.
Elections in a very loose definition of the word.
Very loose.
In the sense that we already know the outcome. The Vladimir Putin is gonna win by a landslide, mostly because he's already barred all of the anti-war candidates from running. So it's basically him and like three guys that have not dared criticize him on the campaign trail. And like the cherry on top for me is this is the first presidential election in Russia where voting can be done online. And like there's a reason no serious country does online votes. It's very easy to manipulate. I mean, you can read between the lines. Yeah. Mhm.
We press the button, comrade, say Putin
Ah,
wins. Putin wins. Then you press button next to it, Putin wins over 80%. Putin wins over 90. Putin decides how much he wins by. It's an election, comrade. We exchange a lot of blank pieces of paper and then Putin wins.
That sums up the mood. Now, the other thing I want to discuss
And
around
I
Russia.
think, sorry, Lizzie, I want to say,
Yeah.
sorry, about Russia as well. I think the elites of Russia, after what happened to the Wagner guy, legendary guy, rest in peace. I think,
An unforeseen accident with
yes,
his
obviously, that
helicopter
someone committed
tragically.
suicide upon
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
Whatever,
Basically,
whatever.
pretty much.
I mean, I think after that, the elites in Russia have basically resigned themselves to they're gonna have to deal with Putin for a while. Putin is their new Stalin. Putin is the new
Yeah,
Stalin.
yeah, yeah. In the same sense that Xi Jinping is the new Mao, we should
Yes,
add
yes. But you know, I
in
mean, Mao
China.
was far cooler, far cooler.
Not really, not really. I mean,
Cancelled.
yeah, cancelled. I mean, we're not gonna praise a mass murderer of millions of people, even if he had a funny haircut.
Mere allegations on his great resume.
An unsubstantiated claim. No, but okay. The other reason
We
I
were
want to
talking about
discuss
Russia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go on
Russia.
about Russia. Yes, yes.
The other reason I want to discuss them is that Ukraine has sort of gone
Oof.
on the offensive lately, and
Have they?
they've done some drone strikes inside of Russia, and specifically they've attacked a lot of energy infrastructure, some oil refineries, among other things. So Zelensky seems to be going after Putin's pockets, if that makes sense. And the Russians obviously retaliated almost immediately with what we're seeing on our screens, a strike on the Ukrainian-controlled Odessa. So it's escalating, and it's escalating inside Russia's borders, which is not something we've seen so far. I think so far the West has been very concerned with this happening, and they've tried to keep sort of Zelensky on a leash by not giving him the missiles that he
I
needs to.
think the Germans, to your point, have not approved the latest missile. This is the conversation
Yeah.
as well,
Mhm.
because of this possibility. Actually, it's because they don't want to put German troops there. Because German troops have to be the ones at least logistically supporting the. Because in order to train the Ukrainian soldiers to fire these missiles, it's going to take, yeah, I don't know, half a year or whatever.
Months
Yeah.
mostly, but they are giving them jets. So how does that work? I mean, I'm gonna give you jet fighters, I'm gonna train you on those, but I'm not really gonna give you long range missiles.
I don't
And
know. And the situation is very muddy about what is actually happening, who is winning, if there's, I mean,
nobody's winning.
Ukraine has lost a few positions though the past
Hmm.
few months, right? Russia has been on the offensive, very small
Yeah,
victories. It's marginal, yes.
exactly.
It seems that the territory, sorry, has been
Yeah.
sort of set in stone at this point, right?
Hmm.
The
And
division, yeah.
and another thing that's certainly interesting is that the Russian controlled the regions that they took from Ukraine that they're occupying are going to vote in these Russian elections, which is something
Oof.
that
In this
several
greatest of elections.
yeah, election again, like several quotes, but several European leaders have basically condemned that, saying that, it's not your regions to hold elections with. Putin obviously ignored that.
Yeah.
I think in his head he's legitimizing the occupation by allowing them to participate in Russia's quote unquote elections. So I don't know, just I'm getting the sense that this is like a last ditch attempt from Zelensky to show the West that, this is not over. We can still sort of strike. We can still hit Russia where it hurts. So I think we're approaching a ceasefire in Ukraine. It might take several more months, but I think that the conflict has been almost frozen for so long, and American and European appetite for supporting them logistically is waning. So you're checking to see if Israel is doing the same thing with
And they do, folks. They do,
yeah.
they do. They let illegal settlers vote in their elections. And I mean, I haven't heard fucking Scholz say anything about this one.
Are you saying, good sir? Are you implying there are
I
double
am being,
standards, good
no,
sir?
no, no. I am being
Oh, okay.
anti-Semitic. I'm
I
being
thought that
anti-Semitic.
I thought that's what you were implying.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I will repent. Let's move on.
Let's go.
Now we're talking about anti-Semitism. I mean, Schumer is Jewish. Sorry to tell you guys, can't call him anti-Semitic at this point. And he has raised backlash after, I mean, I thought he came out fucking strong. I mean, I never expect Chuck to come
Yeah.
out strongly against anything. And for him to come out this strongly against fucking Bibi was, I thought, telling. A top ally
Jack
of Joe Biden.
grows Jack grows a pair of balls in
No, no,
his
no.
late
Chuck
age
he's actually he's a spring chicken, Luigi. I think he's
compared to the
70 at the young age of 76 or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
76 years young. Yeah.
at best, I would say he grew, I don't know, a quarter of a testicle, which is nice to see. It's nice to see. The US Senate leader, how gloriously we talk of our leaders. And tomorrow of Joe Biden broke with the Israeli prime minister over his top-notch handling of the invasion.
Mhm.
Well, we've got the comments. Where are the comments? He has lost his way by allowing his political survival to take precedence over the best interests of Israel, has been too willing to tolerate the civilian toll in Gaza, which is pushing support for Israel worldwide to historic lows. Chag is right.
Mhm.
Israel cannot survive if it becomes a pariah. I think he's right as well. They came out strongly against him, etc. He also called for elections against
Mhm.
Bibi.
Which, I mean, if you look at opinion polls, if there are elections, BP is going to lose by the
Yes.
biggest margin ever.
Look, it's complicated. Yes, they don't like Bibi, but on the other hand, they're not against his handling of what
Yeah,
he's done in
they support the
Gaza.
war. Yeah, the
Yes.
Israelis support the war, and most of them even consider that the level
Yes.
of not violence but force is sufficient. It's not excessive, and I think that
Definitely. What do you think? What do
yeah.
you think about Chuck Schumer coming out against Netanyahu?
I mean, I think it's 2 months too late at this
Yes, yes,
point.
yes. I mean, what do you think is happening? Because I mean, him fucking. I never expected Chuck even now to come out with this. I mean, Biden would never come out with this. So it's very interesting that he lets that Chuck
But
came out with this.
Biden is the president, so it's not as easy for him to come out and say
Definitely,
this. But the leader
definitely.
of the Senate obviously is extremely important. And I mean, if you consider what Joe Biden has been saying behind closed doors, apparently he's called Bibi an asshole or something along those lines.
He's a
Uh,
jackass.
yeah, something like that. So I don't think that
He
it's a
ate
love
my
relationship.
fucking ice cream. Anyway, yeah,
Speaking, yes,
apparently.
speaking
But I
of
mean,
Biden, though,
by the way, speaking of Biden, yeah, what do we about Biden? Yeah,
but
speaking of Biden, Luigi, he had an interview 2 days ago or whenever, and he was like, they've gone too far, and I don't want them to do the invasion in Rafah. But and the interviewer was like, okay, so is that your red line? No, I have no red lines. I'm never gonna stop supplying them weapons to defend themselves, dude.
at least
Dude,
don't say that part out loud. At
for
least
fuck's sake, Joey, what the fuck, Joey? Like, what the fuck, dude? And he got so fucking annoyed when the interviewer mentioned that, you know, a lot of young voters, Democratic young voters, think he's being complicit in genocide. He got fucking pissed off. Newsflash, Joey, they do. They really do. A lot of young voters really do believe that.
And
And
that might also be the reason for Chuck Schumer's shift, right?
oh yeah, Chuck. I mean, fucking Chuck can smell the way the wind is blowing, right?
I mean, Chuck has been Senate leader on the Democratic side for what, like several years
For
now.
a
Yeah,
while, definitely several years. And I mean, the thing is, you know, there's far worse than Chuck, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, Chuck is a fucking neoliberal senator for New York, obviously. I'd like AOC to get his seat one day. But I mean, Chuck is fairly live and let live in terms of he's never really castigated Bernie for his votes. And otherwise, I mean, Chuck, you know, Chuck, you can get along with Chuck. There's
yeah.
worse than Chuck out there.
Speaking of Biden, he presented his budget recently to Congress, and more of the same, George. He's spending an ungodly
Infrastructure,
amount
right?
of money. Yeah, not only infrastructure, some more money for cheap production in the
Yeah,
US,
which is
that
very
kind of stuff.
important in
Yeah,
the technological war that is
and
happening.
not only that, the fact that the US government is running such a massive deficit is probably the main reason we dodged the recession so far.
They dodged the recession, but they're
They
also
dodged it. Yeah,
but I
that's what I
mean
mean.
but I mean Dodd, you're right that their buoyancy does add to others not going that deep in the shithole. It's a I mean the economies are connected.
Yeah,
In a
no,
sense, I mean Americans doing well, they might invest more in Europe. This helps Europe a little bit.
yeah. I meant from the U.S. economy. It's a really good
Yeah,
development for
yeah,
Biden.
yeah.
For Biden himself, the fact that he's gonna be able to keep the economy probably out of a recession until the election really
Although, I
suits
mean,
him.
Luigi, we discussed this over and over, and
Mhm.
you've made that point very eloquently as well. Because when you had, I mean, 2 years ago, right after like when the pandemic was easing and you had the Russia invasion and the prices jacked up astronomically, because at that point you had prices in the supermarket for most goods out there, eggs, milk, whatever, rising 30%.
Mhm.
30%. So you've got a 30% price rise. I mean, you've got right now real wage increase. What is it, Luigi? 2%,
1%, 1%. So
1%.
wages are running in the US are running at
You
4%, and
you you wanna
inflation
be
is
an
about three,
yeah.
three and a half. Yeah.
And now, right now, this is good, but you gotta be an asshole not to be able to conceive in your mind that these people in the past 2 years have faced price rises of 30%. That 1% is not enough yet to contribute in their thinking to make them believe that the economy is doing well, man. It's
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you gotta be very dishonest and very dumb in your analysis if you can understand that point. They're not fucking automatons. They're not just looking at the real wage increase 1% now, economy good. Fuck me, dude.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
nobody thinks like that. That's not how people experience the economy.
Jesus Christ,
People
right?
are thinking 4 years ago, I was better off than I am today. My
People are
salary
thinking
got me
why
further.
the I mean why the fuck are eggs 30% more expensive? That's what people are
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
And you can explain, but still, I mean, part of it has been the way our system is set up. We've got too much monopoly power in too many industries. The other part are external supply shocks. And I mean, these
Yeah.
days you've got many external supplies. So I was reading up on chocolate. The chocolate is what it interests me, Luigi. I read
Uh,
up, and I mean,
yeah.
cocoa
Yeah.
ice
Cocoa
is
prices are up. Yeah.
my God, dude. I mean,
Stock up on chocolates,
uh,
George.
astronomically up, and it's just like it's climate change. It's ruining crops, dude. And
Yeah.
what did the great orange one say? We're gonna drill, baby, drill.
And by the way, they're already drilling, right? So
I'm sure. Yeah.
US oil production is at a record high, higher than Trump, with Biden in
Yeah.
office. You can only imagine what happens when Trump comes
Yeah, I
back in.
can't imagine motherfucking Europeans. Get ready to eat fucking Haribos for the rest of your fucking life. Forget about your fancy fucking chocolates.
Yeah.
What have I
Yeah,
got?
let's move on.
I've got
Oh,
Rockana coming. I just want to The Guardian. Wow, calls him a key Democrat. I think that's the best Rockana has ever been called. Take it on the chin, Ro. We love you. I mean,
Ro Khanna, for the audience, is the representative for Silicon Valley, basically in Congress, but he's a very
he is one of the
outspoken,
most progressive
exactly.
representatives.
He's an
Yeah.
outspoken
By the way,
left-wing policymaker,
you've
lawmaker,
mentioned
rather.
something very interesting that he does represent part of the elite of Silicon Valley, his district. It's very
Yeah,
interesting that he's also very progressive. I mean, okay, you might not agree with him on everything, but he's one of the most progressive members of Congress out there.
yeah. Let's move forward.
That's not
What
fun.
else
Well,
do
I
we have?
mean, Ron kind of taking a tough line against Netanyahu, not surprising at all. But you see that there's criticism, and he's got Kamala coming out being more aggressive as well. Wow, wow,
Wow.
wow, wow.
Kamala is really angling for Joe Biden's job. She's trying to project. Trying to
Kamala,
project herself.
just wait him out. Wait him
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
He's gonna wait him out. Just another
We've
four
waited
years.
4 years, baby. We can't do another 4.
You can do another 2, 3. You're gonna get it. Wait him out.
She's literally like a house of cards. She's that guy. She's become vice president, trying to become president with the president stepping down or
By the president
dying in
getting
office.
KO'd. Getting KO'd.
KO'd. Wow, what a politically correct phrase. All
Yes.
right,
Let's move
let's move
on.
forward. Yeah,
You've heard about the sheep with aid.
aid.
But I want to say that this isn't the Biden mission. This isn't the Operation Peer plan of the shores of Gaza. This is
Let's
another.
explain. Let's
Yeah.
explain what that is for the audience. So, in
Biden
their
wants to
infinite,
build. Yeah.
yeah, in their infinite
In
wisdom,
his infinite wisdom, because I lie the blame squarely on Biden at this point, what is
yeah.
happening between Israel and the United States.
Mhm.
Yeah, go on.
So, instead of pressuring Israel to allow aid in through Gaza's borders, they came up with the questionable idea to set up like a pier outside of Gaza where aid ships can dock and sort of deliver water, food, medicine, whatever
Yeah, and
else.
he's gonna send fucking US soldiers that aren't gonna step foot on the shores of Gaza. They're gonna just float next to it and be able to build their fucking awesome makeshift pier. That as well. This one, and then they're gonna deliver supplies through it. This is a different thing. This pier has or is being built off the shore of Gaza, but by the way, using rubble from the destroyed buildings, basically
Wow.
to make it. And I think the charity itself is constructing it. And the reason the ship has delayed because it's taken 3 days. Cyprus to Gaza is not that far away. But part of the reason is because they're making sure that there is a fucking pier and they can
Yeah,
distribute
I
it.
mean, they're building the pier as we
Yeah.
speak, so yeah.
Yeah. It hasn't arrived yet. It's
I
still out.
heard Blinken, the U.S. Foreign Secretary,
Yeah.
Secretary of State, was out on the wires yesterday, basically saying that their aim is to deliver 2 million meals per day in Gaza, which, if true, that's really significant. That's like
Yes.
a meal for every person almost in Gaza.
Yes.
Yeah, let's
And
hope that is true.
Luigi, I'm still fucking befuddled why they just don't pressure Israel enough to just
I
let
don't
the
get it.
aid in
Honestly, I
through
don't.
the fucking tracks.
It makes them look weak as well. Like if you are the
Yes.
superpower, you're supposed to be able to pressure another country to allow international
Oof,
aid
Luigi,
in.
instead of doing all this fucking Metal Gear style air drops, sea drops, underwater drops, I don't know, under land drops, they're gonna dig it in from Egypt. I mean, instead of doing all that, they could just, I don't know, get more tracks in with aid. And I mean, it's not just us, Luigi. It's not just fucking George and Luigi on their stupid podcast. It's just every fucking
How
the
dare you,
UN.
sir? How dare you
How dare
belittle
you
our glorious podcast?
belittle
Our brothers and sisters are suffering, George.
in the Gaza, in the Gaza. Yeah, the UN humanitarian agency itself has said that they have a responsibility. If they want, there is no alternative to the large-scale delivery of aid by land. And I mean, as the ship said, I think what was it, Open Arms ship? That's the name. Every life counts, and it's commendable what they're doing. I'm talking about what the US should be doing.
Yeah, yeah,
No, what
of
the
course.
NGO. The NGO is doing the best they can do to
The
help the
NGO,
people.
the NGO is like a charity
Yeah, yeah,
organization. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's we don't expect the charities to change the
To
situation, but
fix to
yeah,
fix the world's problems. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
basically.
Yeah. And
So
then
look,
we've got Netanyahu. Sorry, Luigi. I mean, we've
yeah,
we've talked about it more detail. How soon? We talked about it.
it's coming,
It's
George.
coming. It's coming. The Guardian writers are furiously finishing this
The
paragraph.
AI bots are trying to get you your
How
stories.
dare you, sir? These are written by the finest of human hands.
Yeah, so Reuters is reporting that Netanyahu is saying that he is going into Rafah for an operation, something that even the United States has condemned. And I think it's been something of a red line for the international community in general. The moment they heard that,
Yes, but I mean, on the other hand, Biden's like, it's a red line, but I'll give them weapons. So I mean, it's muddy, Luigi.
it's a soft, it's like an orange line. It's not really red,
It's a pink line.
a
It's a pink
pink
line.
line.
It's a
That
pink line.
suits the mood.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. I would hope. I mean, apart from Barbie, I doubt it suits the mood. Let's be honest. Let's see what I move on this. It's
Yeah,
bad. It's
let's
looking bad.
let's move on. It's
By the
bad. Let's
way,
hope.
it's not gonna happen tomorrow because the fighters have to at least have an excuse of an evacuation plan. And their argument, by the way, is, oh, we evacuated them in the first place 5 times until they ended up in Rafah. We're gonna evacuate them back. Yeah, man, but you bombed the whole fucking place to rubble. So
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
where are they gonna go?
it's beyond. It's reprehensible what is happening at this point. And I wanna say, I mean, this is tentative, but we might release a mini episode going through that debate with Finkelstein that dropped
Wow,
Luigi
wow.
yesterday. By the way, Luigi being a warlord of the a warlord of ideas has already watched the whole thing. I've only watched an hour, but we might do
Like
a
out
mini
of the
analysis critique
out of
of
the
the
five
debate.
hours, like about 1 hour was worth it, around somewhere around the middle.
That's good for a five
Yeah,
hour debate. I mean,
yeah.
should we
Sure.
move on? Let's move
Of
on.
course.
It's very, very quickly. They've clinched the nominations, both of them. They've sealed the rematch in gold.
Surprising no one.
No
It's
one.
yeah.
Even
We're
though,
gonna get
by the way, fuck him. I'm gonna say fuck him because surprising no one. And at the other hand, you've been voting these fuckers. I mean, you can't keep telling pollsters that, I don't want Biden or Trump, and then Biden or Trump keeps getting fucking elected in every primary. I mean, yeah, Biden didn't do debates. He still had a couple of primaries. They could have voted for Marianne. They could have a fucking Dean
yeah,
Phillips,
but in
whatever.
in the US, that's considered like a wasted vote. It's essentially a protest vote, and like by extension, basically means you're giving the opposite party your vote. So nobody
It's not
does
any,
that.
Luigi, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about voting green now. I'm talking about voting in the primaries. I mean, if they didn't want Biden or
Okay.
fucking Trump, they could have voted Nikki, and Nikki and fucking, I don't know, Marianne Williamson, whatever, Dean Phillips. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think the Democratic Party is gonna lean into fucking Dean Phillips if push comes to shove. But whatever, it could have been Dean Phillips versus Nikki fucking
Wow.
Haley.
There's another universe somewhere in the multiverse
Dude,
that's the
dude,
race playing out.
but I mean, they keep complaining in every poll that they don't want Biden or Trump. They keep fucking voting for Biden or Trump in every primary, and they've clinched the nominations at this point. So
Look,
you're
very
getting
much,
Biden and Trump.
very much nobody wants to see, but the one
Yes.
we're gonna get shoved down our throats anyway.
It's
Yeah,
happening, folks. Biden
it's
came out
coming.
strong because he had the good State of the Union.
during which he managed to articulate more than 5 sentences without making a serious mistake.
Yes,
So,
definitely. You gotta give it to him. The surprising gusto.
yeah, so
Voters' views of the economy are improving, whatever. They're basically neck and neck. They're not neck and neck. Basically, Trump is slightly ahead if you take an
yeah,
average of the polls.
like
And Trump has the slightest of advantages, with 40% of voters preferring him over the president's 38.
yeah, but that's enough for Trump because of the
Definitely,
electoral college and
definitely,
how that works. Like even if Trump was running slightly below Biden,
definitely.
it would still be a neck and neck race. So
Yes, because the way the stupid electoral college system works in the United States,
how dare
where
you, sir?
how dare you, sir, where the guy who gets the most votes doesn't always win. What a
Yeah,
democracy. But I mean,
yeah.
at this point, it's so close that I think even a foreign policy issue like Israel with their treatment of Gaza, I think even that is enough to cost Biden to lose the election. That's how close Biden is running this election. That if the uncommitted vote theoretically keeps voting uncommitted, Biden is probably going to lose Michigan. If
hmm
if
hmm
if 100 and I don't know 10, 120,000 vote uncommitted. I mean, I think he won it last time by 150,000. But I
Yeah,
mean, this is so close at this point. I think 110 voting against him, he's probably going to lose the election in Michigan. I mean, if he loses Michigan, it's over. I mean,
yeah.
there's too many states he has to flip that he has to hold on to with very thin margins,
Which
basically.
is unlikely, or it's gonna be a Herculean task to
Yes,
put it more
yes.
precisely. So it's not looking good for Jack, and
It's gonna be tight. It's
yeah.
gonna be tight.
No, maybe he gets a foreign policy victory if this mess in Gaza or Ukraine, either of those is sorted out during the year. Maybe he gets a small boost, but I don't know if that's enough to carry him up the finish line, George.
I don't think he's gonna do anything good with Israel and Gaza. He hasn't got it in him, dude. Honestly,
Yeah, I'll
I
agree.
mean,
I'll agree, and I mean
I don't know with
ultimately.
Ukraine what he's gonna do. I don't know, but with Israel and Gaza,
Ultimately, the
yeah.
lobbying powers that are lobbying him, his donors mostly, are too strong. And I've also been reading that he's been losing some fundraising because of his stance on Gaza.
Luigi, if he's losing because of that, then it's not even corruption. It's
It's a
genuinely
stupidity.
what
It's
it's
actual
what he
stupidity.
believes.
Yeah.
It's what the fucker
Yeah,
actually
but
believes.
no, no, no. But it's a lose-lose situation because a percentage of your donors are gonna be pissed if you don't solve Gaza, but another percentage that is very, very extremely blindly pro-Israel is gonna be pissed if you go the other way. So there's no winning for Biden in this matter,
It's a
at least as
very,
far
it's
as
a very
fundraising goes.
These days, I mean, you've got AIPAC openly campaigning against Democrats at this point. They're going after even Democrats that aren't even antis. They're just they honestly they've criticized Netanyahu and they're two-state solution guys, basically. And at this point, that's enough for AIPAC to spend money against you and go for for the far right troglodyte
Precisely.
Republican. But I mean, this didn't used to happen, dude. They did manage to get a lot of bipartisanship through the decades by
Not anymore, sir.
not anymore is what I'm saying. And it's gonna be because I mean I think Mark Hogan came out. He's one of the leaders of the Progressive Party, of the Progressive Caucus in the Congress in the United States. And I think he came out and he was like, whoever takes APAC money, he's taking dark money from Republicans, from conservative billionaires at this point. And they
Exactly.
you shouldn't even be accepting APAC money. And I mean, Schumer is very has been historically pro APAC and pro Israel. But you've got him coming out right now being like, being very critical of Netanyahu, calling for elections in Israel. So things are really changing in terms of the democratic relationship with Israel. And by the way, that's what Schumer told Bibi. And by the way, he's right. Israel, I mean, they can sort of survive by being a pariah state, but it's not going to be the same standard of living that they're enjoying right now, dude.
Obviously, the level of investment that they're getting from the US direct and aid directly.
And
Uh,
investment from the Europeans as well.
yeah,
We're talking about
those are tremendous for a country as small in terms of population as Israel.
mm, and it's
Um,
gonna cost a lot if they go that way. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, they've got nukes. I'm not going to argue that, even if the United States pulls back, if I can make this theoretical mind experiment, even if the United States pulls out, the Arab nations are not going to invade Israel.
I don't know. They can't probably
Yeah,
militarily.
because they can't. But even if they could, at the point of nukes, things are getting too dicey for you to attempt anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's face it, the US support for Israel is never going to fade out significantly enough, or at least I would say it's going to be a decade, multi-decade
I would
process
say,
still on the horizon.
I would say it would be, I mean, Trump, by the way, Trump has been playing very sly with what I mean, apart from Hummus wouldn't have invaded on my watch, which is basically every foreign policy solution. Trump's foreign policy solutions, which always work
If I
retroactively.
was there,
If I was there, it wouldn't have
Putin would never
happened.
invade.
It's always
Putin,
retroactive, the
Putin
solution.
would be sending me love letters, George. He would put on lipstick and kiss the letter.
But he's come out recently and been like on the sly because he doesn't want to make noise about it. That, yeah, I mean, I support Israel 100%. They gotta do it. They gotta do it. They gotta kill those children, folks. They gotta do it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the argument being that it's dark all around. Yeah, and the Republicans are pretty much. I don't know. I think even Kamala would have been better on this. That's sadly, this is the one
I
issue.
don't know.
I think Biden is very bad on Israel. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
yeah, I think every other Democrat who probably has been Kamala or Buttigieg, I'm guessing they possibly could be worse on economics than Biden on their economic
A
policy.
lot worse. Anyway,
Possibly,
I
yeah.
think
But I mean, I think they would have been, I mean, Kamala would have been better on it. I think Biden is very fixated ideologically on just being like, I'm a Zionist. Dude, whatever, you're a Zionist. You're an Irish fucking Catholic, dude. Chill the fuck down.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think let's keep moving for the
Yes.
sake of covering everything, George.
Yes. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of this, and it's
I'm
actually really
sure.
interesting. So
Tell
this
us.
has been
What do
going
you
on for
think?
what's happening is this has been playing in slow motion for a very long time, for a couple of years or more now. And so the angle is we want to limit how much influence the Chinese Communist Party has over, let's quote unquote, American children or American citizens using TikTok. And they're making the argument through a national security perspective that China is basically getting a lot of data on Americans, which is not what they want, and maybe China can influence American behaviors depending on how the algorithm plays out. In any case, the Congress
I
is
have
moving
many
to
comments on this. Sorry, let you go on.
so Congress is trying to ban TikTok, but ban is the wrong word. What they're trying to do is
Divest. Yeah.
force the American version of TikTok to be split off from the rest of the company, and that is bought by American investors and basically becomes incorporated in the US, and there's no security threat. That's how they're doing that.
I can't
Now,
imagine. I mean,
give us your thoughts.
First of all, yeah, on a business sense, China wouldn't want to do that because, I mean, they're exposing the algorithm to whoever now controls the American company. So basically, they're giving out information, IP information to American guys at this point, if you can control the company. But I mean, I mean, I have many points on this. One point is I don't give a shit because the Americans collect all the information as well. I mean, I
But
understand why,
they give
yeah.
a shit though, right?
Yeah, about the Chinese. I feel it's more so, I think it's more so, Luigi, even more so than information. I think it's just competition. They're just scared of the competition. TikTok has proven too
Yeah,
popular. And it's just,
I'll actually agree very much with that, and it's very similar to what happened with Huawei.
yeah.
And like you're starting to see a clear wave of protectionism coming
Yes,
around.
yes,
This is one example. The other example is US Steel, which was
yes.
about to be bought out by a Japanese company, and Biden blocked that as well and said that US Steel should stay in American hands. And I mean, the Japanese are not exactly a threat. The US's biggest
Yes. No,
ally
this
in
is
Asia.
purely economic. Purely economic. It's not
Yeah.
because you don't like the Japanese, your allies, but it's economic considerations over your allies, yeah.
Mhm.
Which
So
is basically protectionism, which I think as a podcast, we're not against protectionism. Protectionism is important for some industries. It's
yeah.
just, it's a give and take. You gotta be. You
You
gotta
can
be
have
smart
protectionism.
about these decisions. Yeah.
Europe has done protectionism since the
For a
moment of its
while,
inception.
folks.
But the US, on the other hand, was the champion of globalization for
Yes.
decades. So
But he
seeing
said
that 180,
the days of trickle down economics are over. And I think free trade was accompanied with trickle down economics. It was part of the package, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. And like the other important thing to stress here is that very similar to everything that is anti-China, this is bipartisan, right? The sense of
Wow, wow,
protectionism.
wow. Exactly, Luigi. I wanted to stress out that fucking Donald Trump for being a fucking asshole pro-business capitalist who doesn't give a shit about the workers, honestly. For is protectionist, though, in terms of foreign trade policy, which is very weird. Because you get it from a Democrat like Biden. I'm not talking about the full neoliberal Democrat, but a Democrat who comes out and talks about unions constantly is going to be pro-protectionist economically. But
Yeah, yeah.
from Trump, it's the nationalist angle, but it's still weird, and it results in bipartisanship on this, which is so weird because, as you said, we're talking about 3 decades of unanimity against this by these people. Biden was there,
Yeah.
by the way.
Biden was there for everything, but like the point stands, like you are seeing protections come back in under Biden.
It's coming back, folks.
You can only imagine it's gonna get worse under Trump. So that's a
In terms
trend,
of
right?
vis-a-vis China, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah, especially against China. But I mean, Trump isn't afraid to
No,
lash out against allies either.
he hates his allies as well. It's true.
Yeah, he hits his allies as sometimes slightly more than his
Yes,
adversaries.
especially the Germans.
They're not paying enough, George. They're
Yes,
freeloaders.
preload. They only make cars, beautiful automobiles, but they don't have weapons.
I'm gonna put tariffs on everything, George.
And I mean,
Yeah,
he
by the
does
way,
that exactly. He does that a lot. He threatens tariffs a lot. And I mean,
Trump was already out threatening
tariffs are complicated, by the way. I'm sorry.
60% tariffs against
Yeah,
China.
I wanted to say tariffs are complicated. First of all, when you've enmeshed your economy to the degree that the American and Chinese economies have been enmeshed, you're dealing with massive economic shocks every time you implement a
Of
tariff,
course.
right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
so you gotta be smart about it. You gotta use tariffs in industries that you are yourself investing heavily and trying to develop domestically. I mean, you shouldn't just slap tariffs everywhere, which I think is the Trump approach, right?
Actually, it wasn't a Trump approach,
It
or rather,
was that.
oh, no, no, hold on. When Trump came into office, I imagine the conversation went a little bit like this to his advisors. Let's put tariffs on everything. And the people are like, "Yeah, no, no, Mr. President, Mr. President, we can't do that.
He did it with the farmers, and he had to subsidize them. Trump spent
Yeah, but
millions
dude,
on.
farming and steel have been the two
Oh,
industries that have been heavily protected through
I'm not
the years.
necessarily against it. I've only got that example. I haven't read that into
No, no,
what Trump was exactly doing vis-a-vis his tariff policy,
but
but he
then
definitely became more tariff prone with his dealings
no,
with
no,
China.
he introduced tariffs, but he did in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most minimal way, in the manner that would disrupt the American economy and consumer as little as
Yes,
possible.
yes,
It was
because it's
almost
the only
symbolic.
way.
Yeah, of course. So this is going to be an ongoing trend for the
By the
next decade.
way,
It's called the reshoring or nearshoring, which is basically let's bring the factories back from China, not to the US,
yes.
but Mexico is cheap
Yeah,
these days.
they
So
got really stressed, people, because in the pandemic they couldn't even get fucking masks at that point because everything had to be routed from China, and everybody was ordering massive amounts at the same time from China.
dude,
It was a mess.
and dude, China isn't as competitive anymore. So if you go back a decade, Chinese salaries were dirt cheap.
Of
Now
course,
Chinese salaries are
they're
almost four
entering the
times as
middle class.
expensive as Mexican salaries, and
Yes.
Mexico has
Yeah,
far
Luigi,
lesser
fuck me.
transportation
Yeah.
costs.
And you've got the trade deal as well, so you've got no tariffs.
Yeah, it's so much close. Like the security is there, the transport costs are there, the labor costs are in favor.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be a good decade for Mexico in sense of
Economic growth. Yeah.
attracting those factories that are gonna be reshored
Definitely.
from
And
China,
this
from
is this
Asia.
is good. This is good for Mexico. I mean, the things I fear are going to be all the labor malpractices. Like we're talking about
Obvious.
killings. We're talking about killings in Mexico at this point. We're not talking about Amazon tactics to dissuade the union. We're talking about killing them. They kill the union leader, basically, and
Yeah.
shit is going to die down. That's what I'm worried about. But it's still good in a sense, in an economic sense, definitely. And should you want to go back to this? I mean, my opinion is this is not going to pass the Senate. This isn't passing the Senate
Why
at all.
not? I've
I
heard,
think
I've heard,
there are enough, I think, Democrats and Republicans who would vote against it. I mean, Bernie's gonna
honestly,
vote against it.
I don't see an argument for not doing this because the American consumer, the people using TikTok,
They
they're not
need
going to be
60
affected.
votes. They need 60 votes to get through the
Is it
Senate.
60?
Yes,
Really?
yes.
Okay. I thought it was a
Rand
classic
Paul,
vote.
Rand is gonna filibuster 100%. It's gonna be 60.
Okay.
Rand is gonna vote against it, by the way, for obvious reasons. It's Rand Paul. He's a libertarian.
He is an anarcho-capitalist, as we call them.
He's not gonna vote for it. Bernie's gonna. I don't know, Luigi. It's definitely not 100% it's gonna pass. I don't think it's gonna pass, to be honest with you, in the Senate. If it passes the Senate, Jack signs it 100%.
100%. But look,
And I
I
want
don't
to
see a
say,
reason.
Luigi, I want to say that on the, I have to say that, I mean, even though I'm against it on principle, obviously, I still want to say that, I mean, to be
Why are you
fair,
against it? Why is it wrong on
banning
principle?
TikTok.
It's not banning though. It's changing the ownership structure of
But I
TikTok.
mean,
The consumer is not going to be affected.
if we're gonna change the ownership structure, it's basically not even nationalizing it. It's just giving it to your rich American body shareholders. I won't approve of that.
You mean it sets a bad precedent? That's the
Oof, I
angle
mean,
you're approaching this.
regulating it better in terms of information, 100%. But then they'd have to regulate their own fucking companies in terms of
But
how
it's
they
a
manage.
double win, George, because you stick it to China and you make your friends rich.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
Steve Mnuchin was out on the wires
Yeah.
recently
Yeah.
trying to find
Yeah.
investors to buy
The
TikTok.
great Steve Mnuchin. The great
Mnuchin.
Mnuchin. He's great. He's great. He wants to buy it, folks. And
Yeah.
I just want to say that even though I'm against it, Luigi, I wouldn't come out hard on the United States for banning it because China would have done the same. That's what I wanted to get at.
And by the way, like so
But
the
China
most
doesn't
important
use this.
the most important part to note here is that if the Americans go through with this, the Chinese are going to retaliate, and the retaliation might look something like we're banning Apple, or
Oh, yeah. And
they've already done it. They've already done it for
that's
government
big.
devices. If you're a Chinese
Government devices,
worker,
everybody does
you
it.
can't have Apple devices anymore.
Yeah.
That's the first step towards a complete ban. So that's one of the biggest companies in the US market.
Exactly.
China will be shooting itself on the foot as well because Apple has a lot of operations in China, but the amount of demand, Chinese smartphone companies are naturally going to be selling more in the domestic market.
Obviously, it's very, that's very interesting you mentioned that. I mean, exactly. You have to understand that this is a relationship. China isn't, I mean, a country like, I don't know, China isn't Slovenia.
How dare you, sir? What do you have to say against the great country of Slovenia?
It's not like, it's not Croatia.
Wow. You are taking, you're taking a bat through Europe, sir. Okay.
Yes. I mean, I'm just joking. I just mean that China, I mean, they can retaliate back and they can stop selling fucking iPhones, and that's a huge market. So I mean, you gotta smart about these things that you wanna do. In another sense, I mean, Apple. So I mean, are you telling me that Apple has allowed 51% of its operations to be
I
owned
think
by
so. Yeah.
Chinese
Everyone. That's how China plays. You can't sell.
I mean,
Elon has done the same thing. That's how China operates. Everything is half government owned.
I would at least expect them to be okay with the United States doing exactly the same back. I mean, by the way, did you hear what Donny Boy came out with?
No.
Because Donny Boy came against the ban.
He spearheaded this ban like a few years ago.
Never got it done, though. We have to be.
Wow, he hates Zuckerberg so much.
Zucker is gonna double his business, and we hate Meta.
By the way, the robots.
It's funny because he's not wrong on this. A lot of his bullshit starts with a grain of truth. Beyond that, I think he had
By
a
the way, Facebook wouldn't double its business because American consumers would still have access to TikTok as per usual. It's just the people that collect the money at the end that changes.
provided though that TikTok agrees with this, Luigi, agrees to
I,
divest.
I don't think TikTok has a choice if Congress votes for it.
They can just pull up shop, dude. They can just not
Yeah,
have
they
it.
can say,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we are
yeah,
leaving
yeah,
the
yeah.
US.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but are you gonna do that? Then you are foregoing all of that business without
Of
even getting any
course.
money back.
It's an economic hit, no doubt. No doubt.
In any case, yeah, Donny Boy, it seems that Zuckerberg hasn't been paying his dues to Donny Boy.
Oh,
Would you agree?
100%. But I think what I was looking at had met with Republican mega donor a few days ago, Jeff Yass, who reportedly has a major financial stake in the social media platform, billions invested in TikTok. So he met with him, and soon after, Jacker Schmack will double his business. I don't want Facebook doing better. I love it. I love the fact that the guy who's been spearheading the anti-China sentiment from the right in the United States.
Suddenly he's like, my donors are
So,
very
no.
unhappy.
It's like, we're not gonna do this now. Do not. Why would we do this? We're not gonna ban it. It's the children. So many children love their tiki-talkies, and you're gonna. Have you seen this guy? This guy is great.
Wow, we're going back to the bottom G.
This guy, look at this guy. How will this guy make his videos?
I mean, this is coming from the guy that actually banned Huawei from the US. Yeah.
Let's move on quickly, Luigi.
Mixed allegiances, sir. Yeah.
Let's move on quickly. Gert Wilders, the great one,
the
Luigi.
Netherlands.
What do we call him? The anti-Islam scholar, the first of his kind. There's been a few since then, but he's the first of his kind. He's not gonna. He has given up his hopes of being Dutch PM due to lack of support. And
so
what
the negotiations with the other parties,
they're gonna do something.
Out.
Yeah, they're gonna do something very interesting, Luigi. Very Dutch, very European, very, very weird. A technocratic cabinet, which would entail all four coalition leaders staying in parliament as MPs. So Gert and the rest of them are not gonna enter government, not take ministerial jobs, and instead they're gonna enlist people. They're gonna enlist
the technocrats. They're gonna find technocrats to lead the government.
Yeah.
People that I guess are acceptable by almost everyone.
Yeah. So
they're basically doing what Italy did with Draghi.
Yes.
Bring in the technocrats.
Yes, exactly. It's been used in other countries. It's been used in other European countries, but not that often recently in the Netherlands, this type of government.
European politics are flourishing so much that we can't even string a government together.
Basically.
So is that it? What else do we have?
Of the extra parliamentary cabinet of experienced politicians and possibly experts from outside politics, not considered closely allied to any of the ruling parties.
That indeed sounds like a very European thing.
Yes, we're going to put non-political people in charge of our politics because they have failed. They have failed.
Exactly.
And that's that, Luigi, for this week. We might do the special episode when I watch the next 4 hours, which is going to be today. Maybe tomorrow, gonna edit this shit as well. Should we finish up? I don't know, on what?
Let's finish. Let's finish on that. I think we covered the geopolitical landscape, sir, throughout the world.
This week's geopolitical arena. Yeah.
And it's deteriorating as you can expect.
In terms of the Gaza front, we're gonna have to wait a week, 2 weeks about there to see what's gonna play out in the end. Negotiations are still ongoing for a ceasefire. It's not looking more likely than it did. Yeah. That's that.
All right. On that extremely cheerful note,
yes.
I was gonna wish you a wonderful week ahead, and thank you to everybody for making it until the end. We're gonna see you next week.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.